Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today, everything I'm going to be reading in May. So you will, I'm sure, remember that May is the month of Horror Mayhem, the annual reading event where we read shorter works of horror fiction. A fantastic event created by the channel The Bookish Bryants, and this year we're using it to honour the memory of Scott from The Bookish Bryants, who sadly is no longer with us. So I have a load of shorter horror here to read, so novels under about 250 pages and some short story collections as well as a novella actually, and I have some other things too, some non-horror mayhem related things, so I'll get those out of the way first. There are, I think, 18 books in total that I'm going to try and get through in May, and as I say, a lot of them are on the shorter side, so I'm fairly confident I can do that. So the first thing then, which kind of almost works for Horror Mayhem, but it is a little bit long, is Lost Souls by Poppy C. Brite. So this is over 300 pages long. This is the book club pick for the CriminOlly book club this month, so a book club I run for my patrons and channel members. I'm really looking forward to this. So I did try and read this book when it first came out, and I couldn't get into it. I think it was a bit too fancy in terms of its prose style for me back then when I was in my 20s. I've subsequently read Exquisite Corpse by Poppy C. Brite, and I thought that was absolutely fantastic. So very much looking forward to reading this and discussing it with my patrons and channel members, seeing what we all make of it. Next thing then, so for the Buddy Reading with My Dad project, we're going to be reading The Dancing Men by Duncan, which is a kind of political thriller, I think, from, I'm guessing, the 1980s. 1985. So yeah, never ending Duncan. Really looking forward to giving this a try and seeing what it's like. I've enjoyed all the books for this project that I've been doing with my dad, where we're reading his favourite books. I've really enjoyed all of them so far, so definitely looking forward to seeing what this is like. Moving on then, so one of the other projects I'm doing at the moment is a Stephen King project, where I'm trying to read all of the books I haven't yet read by Stephen King. So I've got about 4 to go, but Stephen King has got a new book coming out this month. So the new Holly Gibney book comes out towards the end of the month. It's called Never Flinch. I'm going to be buying it digitally on release day and trying to read it as quickly as I can so I can get a review of it up quickly. So yeah, really looking forward to that. I really like the Holly Gibney books. I've enjoyed all of them so far, so looking forward to seeing what he does with the character in the new one. So yeah, look out for a review of that, hopefully fairly soon after release day. The other kind of author-based project I'm doing at the moment is my Evan Hunter / Ed McBain project. You may have seen I put up a video recently talking about my 4 main projects I'm doing at the moment and how I've been neglecting them a little bit. So I'm going to try and make sure I have a King and a McBain / Hunter book in my TBR every month going forward, so I keep on top of those projects. So the Evan Hunter book I'm going to be reading is A Matter of Conviction, this lovely vintage copy sent to me by my viewer Eerie recently. Yeah, really looking forward to this. He's such a great writer. I really enjoy his stuff. This is, I think, about a lawyer. I'm not sure because the back is like an excerpt from the book and doesn't actually tell you what it's about. But the front does, helpfully. So it says it's a best-selling novel about the people caught up in a sensational murder. Now a smash hit movie starring Burt Lancaster, Dinah Merrill and Shelley Winters. So yeah, always enjoy a bit of Hunter. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And I think that brings us now to the My Novel Life Challenge, which is another of these challenges I'm doing at the moment, where I read a book from every year I've been alive. So I've got up to 1983 now. I did have a set of books picked out for 1983 through to 1988, and then was reminded by Mark Hodder, who created the challenge, that I was breaking one of the rules of the challenge in that you shouldn't have rereads. And all of the books I had picked for those years were books I've read before. So I'm going to continue reading the books I had picked out because I'm really looking forward to rereading them. But I've also picked another book from each of those years to make sure that I am complying with the rules of the challenge. And just to remind you, the challenge is you read a book book from every year you've been alive in sequential order, like in order of the years of your life, and it needs to be a novel. So the book I had originally picked for 1983 was Pet Sematary by Stephen King. So I'll be reading 2 Stephen King books this month. It's a long time since I read Pet Sematary, so I'm really looking forward to reading that again. I need to go out in the garage and check I've still got a copy of it. I'm pretty sure I've got a copy of it out there. But yeah, I need to have a look and find that. And then the other one, like the replacement book for 1983, is going to be Double Love by Francine Pascal, the first of the Sweet Valley High books. So I've read a few of those recently and really enjoyed them. So yeah, looking forward to going back to the very first one and seeing how the twins' story starts. Right, that gets us into Horror Mayhem then. So Horror Mayhem, if you've seen my announcement video, you'll know the theme this year is Decades of Dread. So the idea is to read from as many decades as you can. And as I say, it's shorter works of horror, so shorter novels and short stories and novellas. So I've got a book picked out for each of the decades since the 1930s. And in fact, for a couple of the later decades, I've got 2 books picked out. So we'll see how I get on. So the first one then is for the 1930s, the horror stories of Robert E. Howard. So best known as the creator of Conan and for his work in the fantasy and sword and sorcery genre, but also a fantastic writer of horror. I've read a few of his horror stories over the years and really enjoyed them. So yeah, very much looking forward to diving into this. This is a bit of a tome. It's 500 pages and they're quite big pages. So I don't know if I'll read all of the stories in here, but certainly going to read as many of them as I can. And these were written, I think some of them were published after his death, but I'm pretty sure all of them were written in the 30s. Moving on then to the 1940s. So a book I've heard a couple of people talk about, which sounds really interesting. So a horror novel from the 1940s about witchcraft. It's Conjure Wife by Fritz Leiber. So this is a book where witchcraft is a real thing, I think, in modern America. So really looking forward to seeing what it's like. I've heard good things about it. It's just such an interesting concept. So yeah, I'm going to give that one a try and see what that's like. Moving on then to the 1950s, and the first of a few books I've got which are not kind of supernatural horror, more kind of psychological horror. So this one was very kindly sent to me by a viewer a while ago, Lamb and Dave. I'm not sure if Lamb is someone's real name or a nickname or what, but anyway, so yeah, they very kindly sent me this a while ago and I haven't got around to reading it. I really want to read it. So it's Night of the Hunter by Davies Grubb. Supposed to be a really excellent kind of horrific psychological thriller. Very famously filmed, of course, with Robert Mitchum. I think it was Robert Mitchum, wasn't it? Yes. And Shelley Winters, who was also in A Matter of Conviction. So was Shelley Winters in this one? Yes. So 2 Shelley Winters, 2 books this month that ended up being Shelley Winters movies. Anyway, yeah, really looking forward to that for the 1950s. Moving on then to the 1960s, and another book actually sent to me by Erie. So this is A Helping Hand by Celia Dale, a kind of psychological suspense thriller. So again, they're supposed to be really quite horrific in terms of their psychology, I think, Celia Dale's books. I did have this one, I think, on a TBR a couple of months ago. Didn't manage to get to it, so really looking forward to giving it a try this month. Moving on to the 1970s then, so a horror writer and crime writer as well. I've read some of her crime novels too, who's best known for one book, which is a supernatural horror book. That book is The Woman in Black, and the author is Susan Hill. I'm not going to read that one though. I'm going to read, because I've already read it, I'm going to read I'm the King of the Castle, which I think is a book about kind of bullying and the psychology of bullying. I don't know if it's got a supernatural element to it or not, but supposed to be excellent anyway. So yeah, looking forward to that. And then getting into the 1980s, so a book by an author I really like. One of those books that I used to own a copy of and never got around to reading for some reason. I don't know why. It's Ancient Images by Ramsey Campbell, which is a cursed movies book. I love books about cursed films. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. It's supposed to be really a really creepy one. Ramsey Campbell just does that kind of heightened suspense and like weird tension, I think is how I describe it, really, really well. So very much looking forward to that. Moving on then to the 1990s then, an author who I first read recently, Joel Lane. So I read his short novel, The Witnesses Are Gone, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. I have a couple of other books that were sent to me by the publisher some time ago now, both short story collections. So I'm going to try and read a fair bit of Joel Lane, I think, this month. I really want to see how he handles the short story form. So we've got The Earthwire, which came out in the 1990s and I think was his debut collection. And then I've got another one, but that's for the 2010s, so you'll have to wait a moment for that. So moving on to the 2000s then, another short story collection by another author I've read recently and really, really enjoyed. So the book is the Imago Sequence by Leair Baron, a short story collection. So I read Leair Baron's book Blood Standard, which is more of kind of a crime thriller, a few months ago, and thought it was absolutely phenomenal. His short stories and his horror work is supposed to be brilliant, so really, really looking forward to that. Moving on then to the 2010s, I've got two books for the 2010s. The first one is the other Joel Lane book. So this is another short story collection, Scar City. So yeah, very much looking forward to that. And then another short story collection. So this was sent to me by one of my viewers, Heidi, a little while ago. So this is a collection of short stories. I had a look at the copyright page. Many of them are from the 2010s, some are from the 2000s. There's even one, I think, from the 80s. But yeah, it's The Humanity of Monsters, edited by Michael Matheson, who's a Canadian author, I believe. And it's got some great writers in it, all of whom, or many of whom I've read recently and really enjoyed. So Nathan Ballingrud, I've read recently and thought was great. Leird Baron again. Gemma Files. Kid Johnson, who I read, I forget the name of it, but she wrote a like Lovecraftian novella a while ago, which I read, which was fantastic. And Jar Lansdale, who I'm a huge fan of. So yeah, really looking forward to this. Moving on then to the 2020s. So two things for the 2020s. One is another thing that Heidi sent me. So this is A Theory of Haunting by Sarah Monette. So I read another book by Sarah Monette featuring the same character a little while ago. So the character is Carl Murchison Booth, who's like an occult detective type character. So I really enjoyed the other book, which was a short story collection. This is a novella, I believe. Yep, a novella. So yeah, looking forward to trying that one and seeing what Carl Murchison Booth gets up to next. And then finally, a book I've had for a while, and it's been on a TBR before. And I didn't get to it, but I've heard loads of people praise this book very highly by an author I haven't read, but she's supposed to be great. It's Rachel Harrison, and the book is Black Sheep, which has a really creepy sheep on the cover, I have to say. So yeah, really looking forward to that. So that's what I'm going to be trying to get through in May. A ton of stuff for Horror Mayhem and some other bits and bobs as well. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for sticking with me. If you're not a subscriber already, do consider clicking that subscribe button so you get notified when I put new videos up and you can make sure you catch them. Anyway, I will leave it there. Do let me know if you're going to be taking part in Horror Mayhem and what you're going to be reading. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.